Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. We are having our annual Academy Awards preview show. And the person that I always respect and bring on is a good friend, poker player himself, and renowned film critic, Richard Roeper. Richard, thanks for joining us here, of course, on the Bernard Lee Poker Show's Academy Award preview show.
Bernard, I've told you this before, but as I play online, just for information and fun purposes only, of course, or whether I'm getting back to live tournaments, there's something I always remember that you told me. When you flop a set, not a bad idea to lead out because no one will think you have that set.
Right,
Don't always try.
right.
And man, I was playing online with some friends recently, and flop that set of nines, and there's a nice juicy ace and
Yeah,
queen
there you
with
go.
it, and
There you
a
go.
guy with ace jack, boom, over the top, because he's thinking,
Right.
this guy's probably got, maybe he's got second pair, and then I raise, and he's
Sure.
like, all in. And he was basically typing like, "Hey man, probably chopping, right?" And I'm like, "No, you're about 10% right, man. Good luck to you."
And there you
Juicy,
go. There you
juicy.
go. Well, we are very fortunate. We're going to be talking about the 93rd Academy Awards and all of the major categories. We're going to get to Best Director, Best Picture, but I'd like to get to all the acting categories first.
Okay.
And the one I'd like to get to first is, there are very few times there's a lock in the world of the Academy Awards, but I think this is almost as much of a lock as you possibly could. We're going to talk about the Best Actor category, the 5 nominations: Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, Stephen Yeun for The Minari, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. When we're talking about first-time nominations, 3 people, first-time nominations: Stephen Yeun, Riz Ahmed, and Chadwick Boseman. Anthony Hopkins, 1 of 6 over the years, of course, for Silence of the Lambs. Gary Oldman, he was on one of our previous shows, 2017, Darkest Hour. He won. He's 1 of 2. But this is, I think, in some respects, very reminiscent to 2009 when Heath Ledger was the Joker for Dark Knight. Unfortunately, Heath Ledger passed away and posthumously won the Academy Award. And this gentleman, Black Panther, Jackie Robinson, really, it's kind of a tribute to his career, which really
Definitely.
was something. It was just starting, in my opinion. It was really just starting. He was reaching, he wasn't near the pinnacle yet. He was just a rising superstar. And Chadwick Boseman, I think it's just a clear runway. If someone else's name, I mean, literally, I think they're going to have to stop the award ceremony because people are going to be
I
so
agree,
upset.
Bernard. And you mentioned Heath Ledger, and I think in both of these cases, I mean, obviously, the real tragedy is that we lost these brilliant young men way too soon. But he deserves to win. I mean, the
Yeah,
performance I think would have won anyway. It's
correct. Yeah.
transcendent. When you watch it, it's a little tough sometimes because now we know how sick Chadwick
Yes.
was. Actually, his last 3 or 4 films, he was very, very thin, and somehow was able to keep his strength. But the character he plays in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is sort of the centerpiece. It's an ensemble piece. It's based on a Pulitzer Prize winning play, but what he does in this role is his best performance. And you mentioned, the Jackie Robinson movie 42. He played Thurgood Marshall. He played James Brown. He had become sort of the reigning king of the biopic. But I agree with you. I think he was just coming into his own. He was already a movie star and he was
Right.
becoming a
Right.
great actor, but he was just in that phase. If you look at actors when they hit their early 40s, like a Paul Newman or a Denzel Washington, they have some of their best work ahead of them. And
Right.
we were all robbed of 3 more decades of brilliant
Yep.
performances. But I also agree with you. He's going to win. There's just,
Yeah.
I can't imagine a scenario. In other years, I think Anthony Hopkins would have won. You mentioned Silence of the Lambs. It was 30
Mhm.
years ago. And he's in this movie called The Father, where he plays a man in his 80s who's suffering from dementia and dealing with it. And it's one of the best performances of one of the best careers of all time. But it's Chadwick Boseman here for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I will like to point out, being a Korean American, Stephen Yeun, who many people remember from The Walking Dead,
Yes.
and is a excellent actor and comedian in his own right. Congratulations to him for coming and into his own in this
Yeah,
performance.
you know, and
And
I mean, the cliche of it's an honor to be nominated in this case. I mean, because you mentioned he's a terrific talent, but we hadn't seen him in this kind of part where he's the
right,
lead, where Steven's the lead, and he's actually become. I don't, you know, I'm not good at keeping track of all this, but he's a sex symbol. There's a lot of women who really love him in this movie, and they're like,
yeah, yeah,
more
yeah,
Steven, you know. And you know, Riz Ahmed, I think, is in the same category. He's an actor
right,
who's done some great television work, but he's just starting. They're just
right.
starting their film career. This is the first of many nominations. In a way, and you know, it's not the same. They're not going to be in the pavilion like we talked about with 2,500 people, but when you're nominated and you don't have a chance to win, I've talked to some nominees, they're like, I could just go and have a good time, man. I know I'm
Right,
not winning. You
right,
know,
right,
I'm
right,
up
right, right.
against, you know, you know, for example, we talked about Anthony Hopkins, Silence of the Lamb. If you were nominated in 1991, you know,
Right.
take a seat in the back, go have a smoke or a drink if you want, because your name isn't getting called, you
Right.
know.
I think Liam Neeson said it, and then also Anna Kendrick. They've said it in other interviews. They're like, "Oh, I knew I wasn't winning. Come on."
Well, you know,
And
you know, the story too is that anytime Daniel Day Lewis is up, you're just like, okay, great,
right,
that's fun
right.
for me. You know?
That's right. That's right. So we talked about the actor. Let's talk about the actress
Mm,
category. Again, there are two nominees, the first timers here. You have Audra Day for the United States versus Billie Holiday, and
mhm.
then Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of Women. That's kind of a connection to The Crown, and we're going to talk about that. The
Oh yeah,
Netflix
it's true.
show, The Crown. There's three connections throughout the entire Academy
Yeah,
Awards. Olivia Coleman won it last year, if people remember,
yeah.
but and she's nominated. You know, so you've
And
got
now she's the
that.
queen. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. That's right. And Vanessa Kirby was Princess Margaret, although he was in the first two seasons,
Yes.
original Princess Margaret, if you want to say.
Yeah.
But then also Viola Davis, she won in 2016 for
Yes.
Fences. She's been nominated three times before.
Hmm.
Frances McDormand, she's nominated for the sixth time. She's 2 of 5 so far. She
Yeah.
won for Fargo, and recently, which I thought was an incredible performance, at 3 Billboards
Yep.
Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. That was a great movie. It
I
really
love
was
that
kind
film.
of one of
Yeah.
those, you see the title. I remember first time being like, what is this? And,
No, me
I,
too.
I,
Me
I
too.
watched
Yeah.
it and I was like, wow, this is great, great
Yeah.
movie.
Brilliant film.
And then Carey Mulligan, who is not, maybe some people don't know about her, but she is very well known, a great actress. She was nominated back in 2009. So this is not her
Yeah.
first time. So it'll be very interesting to see who will come out with this. Who do you think might come out with it?
It's a great year, Bernard. And you mentioned Carrie Mulligan. She recently hosted Saturday Night Live and even talked about how people think she's Michelle Williams half the time. And we also found out that
That's
she's
great.
married to one of the Mumford and
Yeah,
Sons guys.
that's
So
right.
she's actually Carrie Mulligan Mumford.
Right.
Um, but you know, and she was wonderful hosting Saturday Night Live. But that's kind of the old-fashioned Oscar campaign kind of thing. She's been out
Right.
there a lot talking about this
Yep.
movie, which is controversial, but she's brilliant in it. And I think even though we talked about how the Academy has changed and gotten a little younger and hipper, I think they're still a little susceptible to the campaigning. When they see somebody out there all the time, it reminds people of their movies, you know. And then you look at Frances McDormand, and I say this in the best possible way, she doesn't care. She
Yeah.
loves making movies.
Right.
She loves, you know, talking about her movies if it helps people to see them. But she, you know, she probably wouldn't show up anyway. And
Right.
she gives a great performance, but she has won twice before, so she won't get
Correct.
the vote. And kind of Viola Davis, it's kind of cool to see this. She could win, but I think the voters are starting to think of her as a Meryl Streep type of talent who's going to get 5 more nominations down the
Right.
road.
Right. Right.
So then you start thinking about, and Vanessa Kirby's great in her role. Um, it's a tough film to sit through. It's a very, you know, tough drama. She plays a young uh, pregnant mother who gives birth and things go horribly wrong because she wants to have a
Mhm.
home birth, and it goes on from there. It's a brilliant film. I think in that case we go back to the nomination being, you know, the thing. And I really and Audrey Day, by the way, in the United States versus Billie Holiday, it's a better performance than film. The film's kind of a standard biopic, but she's a Grammy level vocalist and actually
Right.
sings the
Right.
songs, unlike Renee
Right.
Zellweger, who really didn't sing, or
Yeah.
Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. And, you know, God bless them, they won the Academy Awards, but they didn't really sing. She really
Right.
sings. She doesn't try to do an imitation of Billie Holiday. She does her own thing. She's brilliant in it. Hollywood does love showbiz biopics. So if you're looking for an upset, that's where you go. I
Hmm.
think it's going to be Carey Mulligan, though. I
Hmm.
think it's her year. I think it's the marriage of role. It's a hot button film that touches on a lot of issues and toxic masculinity without being it's not judgmental. It's a darkly funny film in a lot of
Yeah.
places and goes right off the rails. We mentioned Get Out. It's almost got a little bit of that to it. When people see it, they say, "Oh, Promising Young Woman." Is that like one of those
Yeah.
19th century romances like
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice? It's like, no,
No, no,
no,
no,
it's
no,
not.
no, no, no,
But I
no, no.
think Carey Mulligan's going to win.
Yeah.
I
And
do.
I will say that one of the things in this is if Frances McDormand does win,
Yeah.
it will be her third
Yeah.
Academy Award out of 6 nominations. And just to put that in perspective, the person who is the gold standard, literally right now, of course, is Meryl Streep. She's been nominated 21 times
Yeah.
over the past several decades, and she's only won 3 times. So incredibly that if Frances McDormand does win, what an unbelievable scenario.
Yeah. The
6
percentage,
times
I mean,
nominated.
Meryl's
Incredible.
percentage, she gets sent down to the minors hitting 3 for 21. But
That's right. That's right.
again, I think there's a lot of years. It's sort of like when the MVP would go to Karl Malone or Charles
Right,
Barkley,
right, right,
or when
right.
LeBron doesn't get it, they go, you know what?
Right.
He got enough. They're going to
Exactly.
get it. I think even more incredible than that, Bernard, I don't know the exact number, but I think Meryl Streep has been nominated for like 35 Golden Globes. It's even more than because there's TV work and stuff too.
Right, right.
She would be the only one in show business right now who might not know where all of her trophies are.
Right.
That's
right. That's right.
I used the
That's
Globe
right.
as a doorstop
That's right.
at
That's
the
right.
old farm I lived on,
That's right. That's right. So we've talked about both actor and actress. Let's move over to the supporting roles. Let's go to the best actor supporting role. And this one is really about the rookies. Four of the nominees, first time. Daniel Kaluuya, who is the veteran of the group, because he was nominated once for Get Out in 2018. You've got Sasha Baron Cohen. Congratulations to him for the trial of Chicago 7. But actually, by technicalities, this isn't his first nomination, first acting nomination, but he was nominated for adapted screenplay for Borat in 2006. So
Pretty
technically
impressive.
not his first. Leslie Odom, many of you, we talked about Hamilton briefly. Of course, Aaron Burr, but he's got 2 shots because he's also nominated for original song. And if he does win an Academy Award, he's 3/4 of the way toward the EGOT, the Emmy, Grammy,
Amazing.
Oscar, Tony. You've got Paul Raci, who has been a kind of journeyman actor and been in a lot of different roles. And then is it Lakeith?
Yes.
Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah. For those of you who don't know the name, you would probably remember it in the movie A Straight Outta Compton. He played Snoop Dogg in that movie. So
that's the one that put him on the radar because he almost looked for a second like they had taken Snoop and just de-aged him with the digital because he was so on. And then you mentioned Get Out. He was the guy in the boat hat, the straw hat that was kind of looking at Daniel Kaluuya saying like, you need to get out.
Right.
It's interesting because he's the lead actually in Judas versus the Black Messiah. For people who haven't seen it, it's based on the true story of an FBI informant who kind of set up Fred Hampton, who's played by Daniel Kaluuya. But it's really the story of the Judas more than the Black Messiah. And even Lakeith Stanfield, when he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, was like, who was I supporting? But that's the way it goes with the Academy. You mentioned Paul Raci. Yeah, I'm a Chicago guy, and he's a Chicago guy. He's probably in his early 70s now, and it's really cool that he's getting this recognition for Sound of Metal. I think Daniel Kaluuya wins for Judas and the Black Messiah, and it is actually a brilliant performance, and it's a supporting role, but it's kind of a co-lead, and that's the other thing with the supporting category. Sometimes it's like how much screen time they have, and he's in the movie a lot and is amazing in it.
Yep. Well, we are talking with Richard Roeper as we are doing our Academy Award for the 93rd Academy Award preview show. One of the interesting things about the Best Actor, especially for Sasha Baron Cohen, is kind of in the realm of you're seeing these comedians recently who are playing dramatic roles and getting a lot of recognition. Sasha's the first one over the last couple of years that actually got the Academy Award nomination. We know Steve Carell did for the Fox Hunter, right? That was a big one when it first came out. Last year, we had Eddie Murphy in My Name is Dolomite, Adam Sandler for Uncut Gems. Both of them ultimately did not get it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
both deserved it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
both of them really got a lot of high praise for it. And so
Yeah.
good. Congratulations to Sasha Baron Cohen for getting that nomination.
Great.
Talking about the supporting actress, again, 3 of them first-time nominations. Maria Bakalov, who was in the Borat movie. She's a Bulgarian actress. You have Amanda Seyfried for Mank, which is the film that got the most Academy Award nominations for 10. It's based off of the film, the classic film Citizen Kane. And then Young Jun Yoon, who is from Minari. She is a very acclaimed Korean actress, which most of us here in the United States would not know. But she, if you looked at her resume, boy, I mean, the list of awards just goes on and on. It would not fit on my computer screen. I had to keep scrolling. Olivia Coleman, as we mentioned, the other Crown alumnus. She won last year for The Favorite for Best Actress. And then also the other person who it's unfortunate, right? She has been the bridesmaid multiple times. This is her 8th nomination, Glenn Close. People may not remember, but she was in that realm of Meryl Streep. 83, World According to Garp. 84, Big Chill. 85, The Natural. 88, Fatal Attraction. 89, Dangerous Liaisons. I mean,
amazing.
That's incredible that she just nominated over and over and over again. Last year, she was nominated as well, but unfortunately, it's her 8th nominations. If she does not win, she will tie Peter O'Toole for the most nominations without a win. Do you think that she breaks out, or is the favorite because of her really emotional SAG acceptance speech? Young Jun Yoon from Minari, is she really the favorite, and it's going to kind of almost be almost kind of like, not maybe on the Chadwick Boseman kind of lock scenario, but I think that she's really like the 5-2 favorite kind of thing.
It's
or,
a scene.
Sorry, the 2-5 favorite.
The 2-5 favorite. Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, when people see the movie, I mean, she's fantastic in it. It's the kind of role, and she knocks it out of the park. But as written, it's almost written like this is going to be a best supporting actress type of performance, because it's like you get to be, the cigarette smoking, wisecracking Korean grandmother who, sets the kids straight and has this wicked sense of humor, but also has a heart, and then goes through some illness. So it's like all of the ingredients are there, and she's brilliant in it. Glenn Close, before all these movies came out, everybody said a year and a half ago, Hillbilly Elegy, which is based on a huge selling nonfiction book, Ron Howard directing. He knows how to direct Academy Award type films like A Beautiful Mind. Has all, and she's playing a wisecracking old-timey grandma who drinks and smokes and has all these kind of personality traits. But I actually thought the film was pretty good. A lot of people hated it. They just felt that it was condescending, that it didn't really capture Appalachian lifestyle and the unique culture there. So she's not going to win. I don't think Glenn Close has a chance. All of the performances here are really strong. They almost always are in the best supporting actress category, because a lot of times they're in movies where the male is the lead, so they're really almost co-leads themselves.
Right.
But I think it's Yoo Jung Yoon. I think she wins for Minari, which is it might not win for any other category, so it's also a way of rewarding and honoring the entire film.
Right. Especially after last year with Parasite. That was a South Korean movie. This is really an American movie about a Korean immigrant family.
Exactly.
But it's kind of on the heels of that success. Let's move over to the Best Director category. A very interesting. We've had this discussion before. Back in 2009, they expanded the movies to 10. It's kind of gone down to 9 and 8 over the years. But they don't expand the director category, which seems a little strange to me, because they kind of go hand in hand. So I have no influence whatsoever. Maybe you can say, but I think that the director category, at the very least, we talked about this with Bradley Cooper, with The Star Is Born. Sometimes it's just good to say, I got nominated. And, just to have that, when the movie credits go by, it always says this name, Academy Award nominated. This name, Academy Award. I think it would, for at least Bradley, he probably, obviously he wouldn't have won because he didn't even get nominated, but I think it would have been such a great thing for him to say, like, I am an Academy Award nominated director, and I think that 3 more people on this list is not going to you know, the ink on the piece of paper is not going to change the world.
Yeah,
You know,
it still to this day makes no sense to me because it's like, did the film direct itself? So,
right,
you'll get someone who's nominated for Best Director, but the movie doesn't get nominated. Or as you mentioned, because there are more Best Picture nominees than director nominees, some people got left off the list. And that was, the case with Argo, Ben Affleck, who won because he was a
right,
producer on the film. But it's like
right,
Argo won Best Picture and he didn't get anything for Best Director. And it's like, I
right.
guess everybody just showed up on set and figured it out. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? It,
They just read the script and this did it.
it
Yeah.
doesn't make much sense.
Right, right. Well, you have again a couple of first-time nominees, and it is a very interesting group, right? Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank. He's already been nominated for Benjamin Button in 2009 and Social Network for 2011.
Mhm.
Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao for No Man Land, and Emerald Fennell, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
When I saw her face, I was like, why do I know this face?
Yeah.
Like I knew this face as an actress and I didn't know why. And so this is the last connection to The Crown. She's Camilla Parker Bowles
Yeah.
in The
Yeah.
Crown. And I was like, oh, that I remember when I saw the picture and I was doing the research, I was like, why do I know this person?
Yeah.
And very interesting to put it all in there. Interesting category, and what's fantastic is you got 3 females. You got to love it.
For the first time ever, and I think Chloe Zhao wins for Nomadland. It's an incredible film, and it really is a film. I mean, there are certain films, even though I do believe director and picture go hand in hand, but there are some films where you're like, you can picture a lot of different people directing it, and I just thought that she just brought such a unique perspective to Nomadland because it's a fictional film, but it has a lot of real life elements to it, and it's got this semi-depressing at first story, with Frances McDormand playing a woman she's lost her husband. She's only getting
Right.
part-time work. She's part of this nomad community, which is a real thing in America where you're kind of living out of your vans, but they all kind of support one another. But the film itself is beautiful, Bernard. The looks of the American landscape, the
Right, the landscape,
Southwest,
right.
New Mexico and Arizona, and the changing terrain where at some point it's very fertile, and then this desert, and and the skies are just magnificent. It's a beautiful film to look at. But she also, and I think this is something that probably has been overlooked, Frances McDormand is playing a fictional character. Most of the other people who appear in this film are real life nomad landers, if you will, are not
Mhm.
actors. They're playing themselves. And people say, oh, yeah, they're just playing themselves. It's really hard to get people to give a performance who aren't actors. You can put them in a documentary, but she actually got one way or another. I didn't even realize until after I saw the film. I just thought, wow, there's a lot of actors I've never seen before. David
Mm.
Strathern is the only other one that people recognize who plays kind of a romantic interest. Almost everybody else, you're like, wow, and then you find out that this is their first film because they're not actors. And for a director to balance Frances McDormand, one of the great actors of our generation, with first timers
Right.
and get them all literally on the same page and on the same screen together and make it work. That's directing right there,
Yeah.
my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I made a mistake. It's actually 16 of 25
Oh,
would
wow.
be
Okay.
first time because I accidentally wrote down that Lee Isaac Chung, I don't know, for whatever reason, was 0 for 1, but this is her first nomination as well. So again, 4 directors first time as
Wow.
well.
Amazing.
Great. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And as we wrap it up, let's get to the films. Best Pictures. We've talked a lot about them. Obviously, they've been mentioned somewhere along the way. The
Exactly.
Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, No Man Land, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, which maybe we just quickly reshot, but it's about a drummer losing his hearing.
Yes.
Very reminiscent of 2014, a Whiplash, where J.K. Simmons won the Academy Award.
Yep.
And the Trial of Chicago 7. Great list, especially in a difficult year and a trying year. As we said, Mank has 10 nominations, the most of any film out there. There were some others that had about 6 nominations as well. Multiple films such as Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, No Man Land, Sound of Metal, and the Trial of Chicago 7 all had 6 as well. Is Nomadland kind of the favorite? Obviously, it kind of goes hand in hand with Best Director, as we've often seen.
Yeah, although I do think this could be one of those, very rare years where Chloe Zhao wins for Best Director and the film doesn't win for Best
Yeah,
Film.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
yeah,
front
yeah.
runner, but I think got to look at Promising Young Woman. If you see it winning earlier on, and certainly if it wins for Best Director, but I think if Carey Mulligan wins, it's a film that's got a lot of momentum and does have a lot of social messaging. The other one I think that's the strong contender, Bernard, is The Trial of the Chicago Seven, because
Really?
it's got all the ingredients of a more traditional kind of Hollywood, best picture winner. It's a historical piece set in
Yeah,
Chicago, late 60s, based on true events. It's got this huge ensemble cast of very familiar
right,
actors, and it
right,
tells an important story in an entertaining way. And that sometimes is a formula. I don't want to say safe, but it's not. I love the film. I thought Aaron Sorkin did a great job with it, but it's not the most cutting edge movie you're ever going to
right,
see,
right,
as opposed to something like A Promising Young Woman, which kind of just
right.
you go, what have I just seen there? Or even Nomadland, which has the more of the kind of artsy prestige to it. That's the only other one. I think a lot of the other ones really don't have a chance of winning. It really is. It's awesome to be nominated,
Right,
but
right,
it'd be stunning if Sound of Metal won, for example.
right,
Not that it's
right.
not a great film, but
Like you said, The Trial of Chicago 7. I mean, for people who haven't seen it, have seen it on Netflix, but what a cast, like you said. Sasha Baron Cohen,
yeah,
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Keaton, Eddie Redmayne, Mark Rylance. I mean, and it goes on and on. I mean,
yeah,
it's really amazing to see this cast on there. So I'm glad that you did mention that movie. I thought it was a really good one. Obviously, Mank with all the nominations. Sometimes nominations it
yeah,
shows that it's a great movie, but maybe just didn't have that to put it over the edge. Minari is kind of like a sentimental favorite for a lot of people because it
yep,
has such a story there. But congratulations to the filmmakers for having a year that really, I think a lot of people never believed it would happen.
yeah,
And the cancellation, which I think they were talking about back last year in June and July of the Academy Awards, at that moment, I think it wasn't just kind of, oh, we're just saying it. This was serious. Really, people believe
yeah,
that there was going to not be a way. But thankfully, because of the technology that we have with all of the streaming services that are out there,
yep,
it really allowed for this to happen because, the equivalent of this in 1918 with the previous pandemic a century ago, there's no way
yeah,
this happens. There's no way. So,
yeah. Pretty
uh,
incredible.
yeah, kudos to the industry for doing this and succeeding. Um, Incredible. I mean, we got this show is always, like I said, the show that I do the most research, but I will say also a lot of fun because not only do we get to catch up, but we also talk a lot about the movies and a lot about specific people that either have been around, aka Glenn Close, forever.
Hmm.
But then you have these, as I now updated, 16 out of 25 nominees. First
Yeah,
time, some of them we've never heard of. Some of them are getting recognized for a career, aka Chadwick Boseman. And, congratulations to, and some people who have the opportunity to make history as
yeah,
well. So great year. Kudos to the Academy for finally trying to get it right. And I think that this is the first time where, as we showed, people of color, females,
yep,
first time nominees, it's really kind of coming together. Whether they do this every year or not, you can't tell, but let's give kudos where
yep.
kudos is give
Absolutely.
them the credit. Good job.
An historic year, Bernard. It really was.
Right. Absolutely. So 93rd Academy Awards. You got your predictions from our main man here. If you want your betting pools, get them in. Let's see if we can get some wins on the docket. And we will do this again next year. It won't be a full year from now because hopefully you'll be back in
Exactly.
February.
There you go. Sounds good.
And we'll have some great other, and then we'll have you out in Vegas. Hopefully, you get some other poker tournaments, and we'll
That'd
see you
be
soon,
awesome.
my friend.
All right. Thank you, Bernard.
Thank you. Richard Roeper here, renowned film critic, talking about the 93rd Academy Award. Stay tuned next week as I will be talking about the release of my third book, Poker Satellite Success. I'll be interviewed by Robbie Straczynski. We're going to turn the tables around. We're going to let him
Nice.
host my show
Can't wait.
and interview me on the book. So stay tuned next week, and then the following week and following month, 14th anniversary of the Bernard Lee Poker Show. So stay tuned. And as always, may you always go in with the best hand, and may you never get unlucky. Good night, everybody.